Isn't this a beautiful cutscene? It is actually more than just a cutscene, it's a loading screen. And since the first few people to play Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 were stuck at this loading screen for several minutes, sometimes even up to an hour, they didn't really appreciate the beauty of the visuals and instead used the time to go and leave a negative review on Steam. The game got off to a very rough start with thousands of eager aviators trying to log in on day 1 only to be blocked by login queue and multiple server issues. I logged in around 2 hours after the global launch and was lucky enough to get in quite quickly, and it didn't take me long to discover that behind all the online barricades there was a very technically well built game waiting to be discovered. Before I proceed, let me mention that this is not a full review of the game. I am not a serious flight sim player and I am not too much of a casual flyer either, because flying even casually is more stressful than playing a racing simulator seriously. If this title was not on Game Pass, I would certainly not give it a try. But it is a day one release on Game Pass and it seemed like something different from what I usually play, so I went ahead. With that said, let us look at what this game has to offer to people like me who just want to play it out of curiosity and not for actually using it as a flight simulator. To begin with, this game is a really impressive piece of software. It offers a glimpse of what cloud gaming is capable of if done right. It's probably not done it entirely right for now, but it's a really good start. The game only downloaded 11 GB of data, and after installation, it occupied around 29 GB on my Series X. I'm not sure of the situation on PC. Pretty much everything in the game is streamed from Microsoft's Azure servers. This means your gaming experience will rely on how good your internet connection is and also how stable the servers are when you're playing. This doesn't mean the game will suddenly freeze and start buffering like a YouTube video, but the level of detail in the visuals might vary a bit, or you might have to wait longer before you start a flight. I don't exactly know how the technical side of things work, but they do work really well once you're in the game. You can expect a loading screen each time you want to start a flight, but once an activity starts, there is no loading screen, even though you can guess that the game is loading the environment ahead of you as you are flying. I guess that's one benefit of this being a flying game. Even at top speed, the gameplay for most planes is visually so slow that the game engine has enough time to load the assets in the background and offer a seamless gameplay experience. Visually, the game looks more or less similar to the previous game in the franchise. I have not played enough of the old game to properly compare the two, but the new game still offers some pretty amazing views if you pick the right flight path. Some airports are handcrafted, while most others are automatically generated. The end result is, however, visually pleasing. Flying through Hyderabad at night felt pretty close to watching the city from inside of a real airplane. But a word of advice, don't use the free camera to zoom in too close to the road, or else you'll be very disappointed. With the handcrafted areas, I faced a mixed experience. For example, the Barcelona Discovery Tour felt just okay, but a flight around the Grand Canyon was pretty bad. I mean, maybe it was because I was flying in a much faster plane, but there was way too much pop in, and the textures looked quite bad overall. To do a slightly more thorough test of the visuals, I flew the Mount Everest Discovery Tour in both games. The old flight simulator requires you to download the core content onto your disk. So in this version, you can see a lot more detail in the snowy mountains. In the new game, everything is streamed, so while the visuals still look good, There's a lot more cloud cover to hide some details, and the visible part of the mountains also looked a bit dull. I mean, that's just me nitpicking, but for the most part, there's not a huge loss in detail between the two versions. Given the choice between level of detail and gaining storage space for a game that I rarely play, I would always pick gaining more storage space. That about wraps it up for this section. The streaming factor definitely makes a positive impact on the performance and maybe a slightly negative impact on the visuals, but I feel it's a good trade off overall. For those who want the best of visuals at all times, it may not be long before the option to download the graphical assets might become available. The biggest benefit this game offers over the previous game is the career mode. It was all over the trailers and it is given the most visible spot in the main menu. To the game's credit, the career mode is very intricate and it offers a lot of variety. I'm sure it is going to offer several dozens of hours of gameplay for the most dedicated of players. However, it was certainly not what I expected when I first saw the trailers, and I don't know if it is the game's marketing that is to blame or my own expectations that this would be a more casual experience. Let me explain. What I imagined the career mode would be like was you would simply pick an activity like cargo transport or aerial firefighting and then immediately start that activity, depending on what you felt like doing that day. This was a fair assumption given that the previous game gave you a lot of freedom in deciding how you wanted to play it. What the career mode actually turned out to be is a full blown checklist, which you need to unlock in a particular order in order to access new activities. So, if you're hoping to try super heavy cargo transport on day 1, you're out of luck because that is the very last activity to be unlocked. The career mode begins by placing you in a small airport of your choice. You are then greeted by an AI voiced instructor welcoming you to the airport. I won't lie, hearing my gamer tag being fully read inside a game felt nice, even if it was just an AI voice.
Hello there. You must be QC Don, right? Welcome to Hyderabad. I'm Suresh, the owner of this aero club.
Then you are led on the path of unlocking your private pilot's license certification. This also acts as a basic flying tutorial. After that, you are introduced to the certification and specialization systems where you gradually unlock more mission types, which then unlocks more certifications, which unlocks more mission types, and so on. You also have a level up system like an RPG, but it doesn't go any deeper than that. Taking certification tests requires credits, and you earn credits by flying missions, which are spread all over the world. But these are limited by which certifications you have already unlocked. It is all very well thought out, although I don't know how long it would take to unlock everything. I spent a little more than an hour trying not to crash and could unlock my commercial's pilot's license. After that, I got bored and stopped playing. It would have been nice to try all the activities promised in the trailer as a trial at least, but locking them behind this intricate system felt a little bit disappointing. Again, I'm not sure if I have to blame myself or the marketing team for that. Anyway, for those willing to put in the time, the career mode has a lot of activities to offer and a lot of checklists to check. If the thought of spending dozens of hours in the career mode wasn't enough, the game has plenty more to offer to prospective pilots. Discovery mode makes a return where you can try curated flying experiences across some beautiful real world places. Since all of them are streamed, you don't have to worry about storage space and can try every single one of them immediately. Then there's the challenge mode, which further gamifies the whole flying simulator experience. If you care about points, leaderboards, and all that stuff, challenge mode will have something new for you every week from the looks of it. Moving on, you can channel your inner Tom Cruise by trying low altitude flight, which is where I use that Grand Canyon example. Photograph mode allows players who want to take it slow to just stop and look for that perfect spot to take pictures. The game even provides you guidelines and challenges for each level. And finally, there is free flight, which is the core of the game. You can set your desired start and end points, choose your plane, and then fly anywhere in the world. For those who love flying, this is truly one of those games which can consume your entire waking life. There's a lot to do on day one, and there is a lot more to come down the line. The marketplace was offline at the time of recording, so I could not see how add ons worked, but there's definitely more planned for this game as it continues evolving. To no one's surprise, Microsoft Flight Simulator is now a live service game. That means there's always the promise of more being added in the future. More features, more bug fixes, more content. Unlike most live service games, however, this game does have a substantial amount of content to play through on day one. And that's me saying it as a super casual player who only tried this title due to Game Pass. If this has made you curious about the game, all it takes is a much smaller download than the previous game to give this a try. Thanks for watching.